All right, y'all, what's up? Mel here, your favorite functional pharmacist, and today we're talking all things flu shots. That's right, y'all voted for it. So we're going to talk about what it is, what's in it, and who it's recommended for so you can make an informed, unbiased decision for yourself and your family. Stay all the way to the end if you want to hear what my personal decision is for myself and for my family this year. So what is the flu shot, right? Well, it's an immunization that was developed to help protect against the influenza virus. So every year it has the possibility of being updated or changed based on what happened in the last year and the projections that the WHO is making in terms of what sort of viruses we're going to see in the coming year. So this year it's made up of 4 different strains, 2 influenza A and 2 influenza B. And again, those changes are made to the vaccine based on what the WHO tells the CDC, and then the CDC decides what they're going to put in the vaccine. And really, the biggest thing you want to take from this is that it's a prediction. So the vaccine could turn out to be really effective in preventing severe illness and preventing you from getting the flu, or it could be completely ineffective, right? Because again, these are based on predictions. These are what scientists think we're going to see in terms of flu in the coming flu season. So our next question is, how are these vaccines made? We should always know how something's made if we're going to put it in our body, right? That's part of having an informed decision and informed consent. Well, there's 3 ways. Typical standard way is they're grown in eggs. So a lot of times chicken eggs. The next way is they're grown in cell culture. So basically mammalian cells, they're grown that way. And then the third and newest way is recombinant technology. So this doesn't use cells at all. That's the 3 ways that the vaccines are made. Another thing to consider is that there are live vaccines and there's also inactivated vaccines. So live vaccines are sort of what we call attenuated, right? So they're not the full virus, but they are live virus that have been attenuated or sort of dampened, okay? And then there's also inactivated vaccines where the virus is not active. Now that we know how each of these are made, let's take a look at who they're recommended for specifically. For the egg base, if you're allergic to eggs, this is a vaccine that you don't want to take. But there are other options if you have an allergy to egg, okay? So basically the standard dose ones you're going to see are going to be grown in chicken eggs. They're for anyone 6 months and up. The CDC says that there really is very, very, very few rare exceptions to getting a flu vaccine. Their recommendation is that everyone 6 months and older, that's right, everyone, with the rare exception, gets a flu vaccine. I think that's an interesting recommendation considering these are vaccines that are based on predictions. Also, there aren't a lot of things just in life in general where we put blanket recommendations for everyone. So just chew on that, make your own decisions. I don't want you to be biased in any way, but obviously as a pharmacist and someone who really knows a lot about medication, there's not many medications where it's like everyone should get it. All right, so these egg-based vaccines are going to be named Afluria, Fluarix, Flulavil, and Fluzone. If you decide that this is something you want to get and you're worried about that, you can always ask the pharmacist or the doctor what brand flu vaccine they have. Okay, so the next type is going to be the cell culture base. There's actually only one brand of flu vaccine that is grown in mammalian cell cultures. And again, this is available to anyone 6 months and up. And the name of this flu vaccine is Flucelix. All right, lastly, we talked about those recombinant vaccines. Those are the ones that don't have flu virus in at all. They're not grown in any eggs. They're not grown in any cell cultures. And the name of the recombinant ones is going to be Flublok. Now, these are only going to be recommended in ages 18 and older, okay? So if you hear Flublok, it's only 18 and up. Again, this is going to be egg-free. The thing I really want you to know about the recombinant vaccine, Flublok, is that it contains 3 times the antigen of the other vaccines. And the antigen is really that part that causes you to have an immune response. All right, y'all, if you're liking this content, go ahead and hit that like button and leave any questions you have in the comments below. You know that I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And who knows, I might turn your question or comment into our next video. All right, y'all, so we know that the flu vaccine this year protects against 4 different viruses. It's based on predictions from past years and what they think they're going to see this year. We know that it basically is grown or made in 3 different types of ways, and it's recommended for everyone across the board from 6 months and up. What else do we need to know? Well, one thing, there is a nasal spray. Now, I know in my experience as a pharmacist, I never recommended this just because there were so many limitations on who it could be used for. It's actually a live vaccine. Anyways, it was never my first recommendation, even when I was recommended the flu vaccine. Now, a lot of parents would choose it because their kids have some sort of aversion to needles. That's really the only time I ever saw it being used. A couple more specific things to consider. There is one age group that I would consider if I were in that age group or if I have a family member in that age group, consider getting the flu vaccine. And that is 65 and up for our elderly population. In older populations or populations with complications and other sort of health conditions, I do think it can make sense to get the flu vaccine. In 65 and up, there are specific vaccines to take. Okay, so make sure that when you go to the pharmacy or the doctor's office, again, they should know your age, but just remind them like, hey, I'm over 65. I know that I should be getting a specific vaccine. They're higher dose vaccines because as we get older, our immune system does tend to wane and not work quite as well, just like most things as we get older, right? And so we need a higher dose, which is going to actually boost the response again to the vaccine. So just so you know that. Okay, and lastly, the third kind of specific thing you may want to know is 93% of flu vaccines are thimerosal free or thimerosal reduced. But yes, that means there are 7% that have thimerosal in them. Just so you know, there are still flu vaccines that contain thimerosal in them. All right, friend, that is the basics of the flu vaccine. If you've made it to this point, this is the part where I tell you what my decision is. You may be already kind of guessing what that is. But again, I want you to be able to make your informed, unbiased decision. A lot of times when you go to the doctor's office, you go to the pharmacy, they're going to hand you that piece of paper. We don't usually read it. They assume we've read it and we just say, okay, give it to me. We just trust people, right? But most of the times we're not being told the other side. We're just being told how effective it is. Now, again, the flu vaccine has been shown to decrease severity of illness, okay, when people get the flu. That is like decrease it by about 40 to 60%. On the other hand, what we're not told is that, again, this is a prediction. We don't know if this is going to work. We don't know if this is going to be the right prediction at all. So for someone like myself, I'm 40 years old. I feel pretty healthy. I try to take good care of my body. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to get it. So for me, when I weigh the risks versus the benefits, that's just the personal decision that I come to. Now, if I had diabetes, if I had a heart condition, if I had a lung condition, if I was over 65, would that change my decision? Maybe. It would definitely weigh into it. So make sure you discuss with your pharmacist or your doctor all of those things. We get to all make our own decisions, none of which should be judged or should be discriminated against. I fully support whatever decision you come to because it's an informed, unbiased decision. All right, y'all, if you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy this next video. So go ahead and click it, go ahead and watch it, and I'll see you next time.